new fallout in the IRS controversy. Republicans accusing the IRS of violating the federal tax privacy laws for releasing non-public data. Now, the House Oversight Committee says it happened when the agency turned over a database of tax-exempt organizations to the FBI 4 years ago. In a letter to the IRS commissioner, lawmakers say, quote, extremely troubled they are by this new information and by the fact that the IRS has withheld it from the committee for over a year. Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice, here to sort this out. Jay, good morning to you. So what happened here, and whose information was compromised?
Well, apparently what happened was that the IRS was trying to get the Department of Justice to, not only was there the targeting going on, but to bring criminal charges against these conservative organizations to basically stop them from engaging in political activity. So the IRS sent over data files, what's called 6103 information, that's private taxpayer information, to the Internal Revenue Service about various groups, not just stuff that was public files, not just information that was public record, but individual filings, information that only the IRS would possess, hands it over to the Department of Justice and is basically urging criminal charges being brought against these groups. And Bill, the irony of this, of course, is a lot of these groups hadn't even been granted tax-exempt status. Some had been. The ones that had been, I guess they were going to try a criminal proceeding against them. That's what it appears to be. But sharing that information itself is a violation of the law.
But what the agency says that this was a very small number of individuals who were exposed. Is that a defense?
Well, a small number. It's 1.2 million pieces of paper, of documents. So it's a lot of groups that were had their information shared. We don't have that list yet. Darrell Iss's committee is working on exactly who's in that list. But, Bill, there's an interesting development in the IRS cases, and that is there's a companion case involving a group, a pro-Israel group, that was also put in the same be on the lookout list. And they filed a lawsuit, and a U.S. District Court judge in D.C., exactly where our case is, same district court, ruled in favor of the taxpayer and is allowing the case to proceed. The IRS and Department of Justice lost there. In this case, this idea that you were going to intimidate these groups into silence by getting the Department of Justice to what? Start grand jury proceedings because people are engaged in free speech activities? It's outrageous what the IRS is still getting away with, I have to say, because a number of our clients are still waiting for an adjudication of their applications.
Here's more from the letter.
Some of them 5 years later.
Involve publicly available material that's easily and routinely accessible can sometimes inadvertently include material that should have been redacted. Well, that didn't happen, apparently.
Well, first of all, it should have been redacted. It's required by law to be redacted. They're not supposed to do that. Number one, we don't know what the documents are yet. Those are being reviewed now. But the fact of the matter is, there's a reason there's a provision of the Internal Revenue Code, 6103, that says you can't give this information to government agencies. And, Bill, it's not just that the information was shared. It's this: the IRS was in this position of basically being the protagonist of engaging the Department of Justice to try to get criminal charges filed against these groups when there was no evidence of any criminal wrongdoing in the application process or in their actual activities.
What can you do now?
The IRS was pushing. Yep. Well, I'll tell you, we're looking at right now, we've got the motions pending with the court, but we are going to check to see if our client's information was in these documents. We've alleged, based on information belief, that there was information shared. This will help us prove that fact.
Thank you, Jay. We'll check in with you later, okay? Thank you for coming back today.
Thanks, Bill.